Hey, y'all, I'm Shane Sams, the host of the Membership Masters podcast. I'm a self-employed, location-independent online entrepreneur, and my family makes its entire living with membership websites. I created this podcast to help you and your family do the same by interviewing some of the foremost experts in entrepreneurship, online business, and people out there running successful membership sites. And when I say successful membership sites, I'm talking about my guest today, Brooke Castillo of the lifecoachschool.com. This is one of the most successful membership sites, the most successful businesses you will ever hear, because get this, Brooke runs a membership site that is on pace to do $35 million this year. $35 million, and it's all done through monthly memberships. In today's podcast, you're going to learn how Brooke discovered the membership model through my Flipped Lifestyle podcast and inside of our Flipped Lifestyle community. We're going to talk about the pivotal moment when she decided that she was going to go down the membership rabbit hole and decide to make that her business model for her coaching site. We're going to talk about running high-priced memberships, $297 a month and up, and how you can sell those things and why it's really important to get your pricing right for your audience. We're going to talk about the marketing and the strategy and the tactics and all the things that went into Brooke building her membership from 0 members. And her first goal was to get to 1,000 members, and then how she took that to the next level, made $1 million, made $5 million, and then made that jump from 5 to 17 million all the way to 35 million, and how you can implement those strategies and go out and grow your membership as well. We're going to talk about all the life lessons that Brooke learned from building an 8-figure membership site, and also how Brooke overcame her anxiety, overcame her hangups and problems that were preventing her from being successful in her life, and how she overcame all those things and took it into the next level. On top of that, we're going to talk about how podcasting can be the fuel, the engine for your membership site, and what you can do to maximize profits on the other side of your membership. This is probably one of the most valuable podcasts I've ever recorded. Brooke is an incredible woman, an incredible entrepreneur, and I can't tell you how much I have respect for this person, how I appreciated her time, and just really was inspired by the wisdom that she shared this week on the Membership Masters podcast. I know that you are going to get an amazing amount of value from this conversation too. But before we get started, I got to ask you one question, and I ask it every single week. Are you ready to become a membership master today? All right, let's go. Welcome to the Membership Masters podcast, brought to you by membershipmasters.com. This is the podcast where we teach you how to get and keep more members every single month. I've helped thousands of people start, build, and grow memberships, and I interview some of the biggest membership owners anywhere online. My goal is to help you build $1 million membership of your own. Brick by brick, let's do it together. Come on. 3, 2, 1. Hi, Brooke. How you doing?
Well, hi, Shane. I'm doing amazing. So happy to be here. Stoked to talk memberships.
I've been looking forward to this conversation for a while because I had to reschedule and had to figure it out, and COVID knocked us in the face. But I've really been really pumped up to talk to you for a few weeks now, because a few weeks ago, some guys I'm in a mastermind with, they always send me stuff when they see a cool membership idea, right? Mm-hmm. Because, I like that. And they sent me this thing. Do you guys know Brooke, or who she is, or what she does? She's got this amazing thing. And she just released this amazing podcast where she's doing like 8 figures in her membership. Mm-hmm. And I was like, Brooke Castillo, yeah, I know who that is. And I went back in my inbox. I'm like, didn't we have an exchange one time back in like 2016? And we were talking back and forth. We were gonna work like at a little get together and talk about some stuff, and you couldn't make the time work. And you said, hey, I went to this thing and somebody tried to talk me out of a membership. And I was like, well, I will tell that person to their face that they're wrong and don't do it. And the last thing I heard from you was, you're awesome. And then I look up and like $30 million just flowing out of your membership site.
Right.
So could we fill in the gaps?
Yeah, totally. So I used to listen to your podcast religiously. I was like obsessed with listening to how you all got started, and Jocelyn's story, and being school teachers, and then buying your dream house and moving and all of it. Like it's such an inspiring story. And one of the things that I deal with a lot is, and you probably do too, a lot of my students will tell me, well, you're special, you're a unicorn, or,
Oh yeah.
you've been able to do this. And when I heard your story, I would reference you all the time. Like, listen, school teachers can build this business and be able to build a membership and create their dream life. You can too. And I had joined your membership program, and I remember vividly, this was years ago, right? I sent a email to you and I said, I would like to get 1,000 people in my membership. And I want to charge $297 a month. And I can't remember if it was you or Jocelyn that replied. It must have been you. And you just said, yeah, that's doable.
Sure. Why not? I mean,
really,
there's 300 million people. I mean, we can find 1,000. There's 7 billion of us.
Because at the time, I thought like 1,000 people was just ridiculous, especially for the price point. It's a very high price membership, right? $297 a month. That makes people pause before they sign up, right? And so I can't tell you how inspiring that was for me. It actually might have been within a forum within the membership that we had that conversation. But I was super focused on the very first year that I start my membership, trying to get 1,000 people in there because of that one exchange with y'all.
Gosh,
and it really makes me realize, like, it just takes one person to believe in you, believe in your idea, give you some support. And then, so thank you.
Oh yeah. No, thank you for being an amazing, it's inspiring when we see people, because people will come in. I'll tell you what's funny is people always come in like, yeah, you think I can charge like $4 a month for this? And I'm like, well, you can if you want to live in your car. Sure. Right. And like, they don't even like no one thinks of the value exchange. Yes. I was just recorded another episode of the podcast with a good friend of ours. Her name's Erin Chase. And she has a membership called $5 dinners. And her value exchange is really easy because it's like, hey, I can save you $50 a month on your grocery bill. Why would that not be worth $25 a month in my membership? And she's got thousands of people in there, right? And like yours is clearly the same thing. Like, yeah, it's $297, but look what you're getting.
Right.
You're getting an opportunity to go out and dominate life. You're getting an opportunity to get past barriers and fears. So when you said that, I was like, well, yeah, and people want to sell to everybody. That's another thing too. Like 1,000 people, when you've got thousands of people listening, is a percentage point. So It's not that big a deal to go, Lily.
The other thing that was so funny is I went into your membership and I was watching one of your videos, and you had talked about like whenever you wanted like one of your editors to like do something with your video, you would like snap or clap or something. I can't remember what it was, but like you do something like in the video as an indicator to the editor to like fix something. And it clearly had not happened. There was a lot of snapping and clapping in the video. And I had said to you, hey, I just want to let you know, it seems like maybe you posted the wrong video, whatever. And your reply was so awesome. You're like, yeah, we don't worry about stuff like that.
Jocelyn does worry about stuff like that a little bit more than I do.
We're not really going for perfection. I was like, yes.
Yeah, yeah. I'll just if you found it, you're probably like all right. So let's say I've got 1% of my actual audience joins my membership, which would be terrible conversion, but I'm going to go with that. And then 1% of them actually watch the whole video, and then 1% noticed it out of place. It's okay. It's okay. I haven't heard anything said. So maybe that video's still in there somewhere, Brooke. I don't even know.
So.
Like, what does it matter?
I hope so.
You know why I don't? Yeah, here's why I don't do that. Because, and I know you guys are like this too. I mean, you can be professional and not be perfect.
Yes.
Right? Like
amen.
That's a really big like thing to hang on to. And if I had spent like I redid the Flip Lifestyle Blueprint in like 2015. The original was made in 2014, right? And we add to it as we go. But if I had said, you know what? I know what needs to be in here, but I'm going to spend the entire year of 2015 and maybe part of 2016 getting this perfect.
Right.
I can't imagine how many families in the Flip Lifestyle community would still be struggling in their business because we waited a year and a half to teach them what to do next.
Right.
And I made the whole blueprint in 1 month. I recorded the audio. I hired someone to make PowerPoints off of my audio, and I hired somebody else to put them in the community. So it was all up in 60 days.
Yeah.
Right. And like, I just can't, whenever I'm getting into perfection mode in my membership, I'm like, dang, man, somebody needs this now. And if I hold that back, I'm holding their family back from a better future.
Love it.
Yeah, man, I don't play perfectionism. I ain't got time for all that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Hey, I love your chairs. Those fuzzy chairs.
Oh yeah, aren't those great?
Those are amazing. Do you actually use them, or does they look pretty?
No, they're just for show.
Yo, I would totally put 2 of those like in my bed. I got my bedroom's huge. It's like 800 square feet.
Mine too. I have a chaise of it in my bedroom. Exact same chair, but a chaise.
Oh, that's what I'm talking about. Like I would not be able to resist the temptation to sit in those fuzzy chairs.
Oh yeah.
So if you're watching this on video at the watch party, guys, later, you're checking out some fuzzy chairs. All right, let's talk about actual business. All right,
okay,
here we go.
All right. Let's do it.
All right. So let's dive into your membership first, because I've seen some people do what you're doing, and I love the way this is. So it's a higher ticket membership. We've already talked about that, $297 a month. Tell me about this Scholars membership, and also too, just a little background about Life Coaching School in general and the podcast and stuff like that.
So originally, I was doing a podcast, and then I had a lot of different launch products, right? So I had no membership. And one of the things that I wanted to do was simplify my business. I wanted to have like 2 main products. I wanted to have a membership, and then I wanted to have my certification. So my membership is for clients who want to get coached on their life, weight loss, over drinking, anxiety, that sort of thing. And then I have a certification if you want to become a life coach. My membership is for my clients. It's for people who want to get coaching. And I wanted to create a way for people to get coached by me using my materials in a way that was affordable. So even though from maybe the perspective of memberships, $297 a month would seem high for a membership, from the perspective of hiring a life coach, it's actually very low.
Yeah, for sure.
To be able to get the kind of coaching. When you come into our membership, you can get a weekly session with a coach, a 20-minute weekly session. You get access to all of my products that I've ever made. So I basically took everything that I'd ever done and put it in the membership, which is crazy, right? Because that was hundreds of thousands of dollars of revenue that I incurred by having those. And I just took them all, and you get them for $297 now.
But I'm so glad that to hear you say that, because it can't be said enough. Like when you create that much value inside of the membership product area, like we don't drip anything. It's all there.
Nope.
You just go in
and get all at once. Yep.
You create forever customers. It's not enough to get a member. You want to wow, I'm staying forever. It's all right here. And I could never spend enough to get the value out of it. So why would I not just stay?
Yeah. We, once you're in the membership for a year, you become a diamond member. We've been doing the membership for 4 years. We have hundreds of people that are quadruple diamond members now who have stayed in, and they retake the classes and redo everything because there's so much in there. And we do have people, and any of y'all who have memberships will hear this too. And this is just a pro tip. Everyone will come into your membership. A lot of people will come into your membership and say, I'm so overwhelmed. Right. And I always say, do you do that when you go into Netflix? You're like, I'm just so overwhelmed. There's just so many things to choose from. There's so many movies.
Amazing.
How am I going to watch all these movies? No, you're not supposed to watch all the movies, especially in one night in Netflix. It's just all there for your viewing pleasure. If you would like, just pick one and enjoy. You're welcome.
That's amazing. It's like the same analogy. James Schramko, who's a mentor of mine, he loves memberships too. And he always says, your membership is like a supermarket. Sometimes I need milk. Yeah, but sometimes I need toilet paper if they ever don't sell out of it again.
Yeah, right.
You know, and like it's kind of like that. Like you don't walk into Kroger or Costco and go, "There's too much stuff to buy. I'm going to go home and starve to death." No, you buy what you need and you pay for it because you need it like right now, right? All right,
that's so good. Yeah.
So scholars can come in and they can get high quality, super high quality materials and processes to do life coaching. And then, so these coaches that handle these sessions, are those the people that come out of your certification program?
Yes.
Okay. I got you. So you get some of that included, then I assume they can make money too if they want to sell more sessions. Is that how they do it? Or do they work for you after you certify?
They work for me. So
awesome. That's
within Scholars, we have dozens of coaches who provide coaching sessions. And it's beautiful for our coaches because they get coaching experience by working in Scholars. And then our scholars get to get coaching from experienced coaches. So it really is a win-win. And we have so many people that join Scholars that never leave because they want to get that weekly coaching. and they
Amazing.
want it, and plus the education that we're offering too. So it's kind of like they're getting educated on our tools of life coaching, but then they're also getting coached, which is so important, right? And what I've been able to do is, initially I was doing a lot of the coaching myself, but as we've grown, I've been able to hire people that actually, frankly, do it much better than I do. They're a lot more patient.
Yeah. That's really, really cool, because like, I think what we have mastered in our business is, I don't even call it one to many anymore. I call it one to masses. Right. Like
Yes.
we think one to masses. Like our vision is big enough to where we're like, what if there were 100,000 people in the Flip Lifestyle community? We have to think one to masses.
Yeah.
But what Jocelyn has always wanted to do is to, even at our normal tiers, like find a way where people do get one-on-one coaching. And Brooke, I'll be honest with you, me and Jocelyn have been hiring people in and out for years. I think I just learned how to actually hire good people back in like March of this year.
Yeah.
You know
It's
what I'm
not
saying?
easy. Yeah.
No. And but now I'm like, you know what? I think I could go hire a coach for the community that's better than me at it. Like, I'm really good at the podcasting and the conversation.
Yeah, me too.
And I'm good at coaching, but sometimes I'm a little hard on people. But there's somebody out there that could do it better than me, right?
Yeah, of course,
and I've even thought, like, would it be better if there was even more podcast hosts than me? Like, maybe there are people out there. And I'm so inspired by seeing what you're doing, where you've provided this touch point with your people, that, like, I think that, man, it would help our families take action faster, because they get that one-on-one, not just that group call or the forums or whatever,
Exactly. And that's been a big game changer. We introduced that in year 2. And I do want to say this, I know a lot of people listen to your podcast that want to create memberships. And I want to say that, like, from the very beginning, I wanted to get 3,000 people in. That was my goal. I wanted to get 3,000 people within 3 years. I think having long-term goals really powerful, because we dream too small in the short term and not big enough in the long term, right? So it's or too big in the short term and not big enough in the long term. So I wanted 3,000 within 3 years. So the whole time I was building my membership, I was building it for 3,000 people. And I think that's really important, because in the beginning, you can do lots of high touch, but that doesn't scale. And so if you start your membership where you're the one doing everything, you're going to have to recreate it every time you want to scale. So my recommendation is, like, think, how many people do you ultimately want in this, and how can you set it up in a way so, it'll scale and still be as effective. And so that was
and the original people don't feel cheated, because you've got all this high touch for your first 100 people.
Exactly.
And then you take that away. I mean, you love your founding members. I mean, we still have, I think, like 65% of the people that joined the first webinar or something.
Wow.
And they've been here the whole time. They've been to our live events. They buy everything I sell. It's amazing. But at the same time, we started, and I was lucky, because Shramko, when we were building out learning the membership model, I joined his program and saw how he did it. So I had a really good mentor to copy, basically.
Yeah.
And we did start with the group things, and we did a lot. We did do a lot of reach outs, like, tell us your opinion. We'll shape the community. But, man, I've seen people's memberships crash, because they'll go 3 beta groups, 25 people or so, high touch, one-on-one. Then they're ready to launch and raise their price, and all those people quit, and you lost your whole base. All in one day. That's super wise.
And one of the things that was really important to me, especially in the beginning, is I didn't want anyone to be worried about how many people were in the group. So I don't have, one of the big differences with my program is I don't have a community. So, and I know that's like the opposite of what y'all have, but for me, I'm not great at building community. I'm not good at, like, getting into Facebook groups and creating connections with everyone and creating all that bonding. Like, that's just not my forte. I'm very good at teaching and very good at coaching. And so I set it up from the very beginning where the members actually don't have interaction with each other. Okay. It's mainly like they're coming in to have a coaching relationship with me. And so it was important that they felt like exclusive, in that, like, they felt like they were having a relationship with me through the videos and through the coaching that I did. And so there was never a sense where people understood, are there 50 people in this group or 5,000? Like, nobody ever knows. And so that creates this huge sense of, like, it's very personal to people, because we could have, hundreds of people on a webinar. No one's going to know how many people are on there. They're just going to know, hey, I pulled you on and we coached one-on-one. So I had that vision from the beginning, because I think sometimes in the community, I can't remember if yours says how many people are actually in there, but as that starts to grow, those original members
Oh
can
yeah.
get frustrated, right? It's like, oh, wait, there was just 300. Now there's 3,000.
That's
I have
right.
no access anymore. Yeah. Just something to
That's right.
consider.
Like I did have one person one time say, and we're still, and like we're Facebook friends still. She's done a great job building her membership. Her podcast is amazing. But I do remember, like after 2 or 3 years, her leaving the community, and I remember her saying, originally it felt like a neighborhood, and then it felt like a village, and now it just feels like a city.
Yeah.
You know, but I took that to heart, and I was like, okay, well, we've got to recapture that magic somehow, right? We've got to figure out how to do that and connect it. So we did learn from it, but even when you're trying, that's going to happen. And if you can't scale, if you don't let that happen, and it just sucks that 5% of your people may feel that way.
Yeah.
But like you just gotta like expand. That's what I think Jody Moore does that too. Like she doesn't let the members don't interact with each other.
Yep.
Do you know who she is? Yeah, she goes.
Yeah, she's one of my coaches. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. She's got the life coach label on there.
Yeah.
She was also in the Flip Lifestyle community, and she blew her membership up. And she told me that. And I was looking back through her stuff after our podcast, and I've got you. I'm going to say this to you right now because I was going to say it to her, but we got off the show. Your community simply exists in a different place because the community does drive membership a lot of ways. Like, for example, on my U.S. history teacher site, I don't they don't interact with each other in the lesson plans or anything. You know, I got this Facebook group where I share stupid memes, and that's where I get like 1,000 shares and all these crazy things. And that's like the place where history teachers go to have fun.
Oh,
right?
yeah, totally.
And like, and yours is the same thing. It's like the podcast or like these live events where so many people are seeing you. That they're still a part of this thing. This maybe movement is a better word than community.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? To,
and they all identify themselves as scholars. Are you a scholar? Are you a diamond scholar? Are you a double diamond scholar? Right? They all can identify each other. I just don't manage a community where they're all talking back and forth. So, I mean, there's lots of different ways to do it. Lots of different options.
You're creating community without having to manage it.
Exactly.
Which may be way smarter than mine because I have to manage way too much. Okay. All right. So tell this is the certification program. So this is interesting. Like we've got a member, her name's Rebecca Decker, and she has an amazing membership called Evidence-Based Birth. Okay. And she trains birth professionals like nurses, doulas, and midwives, how to, with their evidence and the research, to deliver babies safer and more effectively. Okay. And then she also helps parents do that. Now, she certifies people too, right? But she does it so that they can definitely have their own practice. It's not necessary. They may use her materials, but it's to create business owners, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So what is the purpose is your certification? Like, is it a profit maximizer? Is it to create coaches for your own community? Is it so that they can go out on their own? Like, why did you add the certification?
Yes.
All the things.
Yes, right? To all of it, right? So it's my back end. It's much more expensive. It's, it's a tuition. It's like a college tuition for a year. It's a year-long program. We teach all the tools. You're completely licensed to use all of the tools that I've created over the lifetime of me being a life coach. And then we also teach you how to run your own business. There's 2 options you can take for the second 6 months. You can learn how to coach and get feedback on your coaching more. And that if you're intending to work for the school or for another company, basically, right. Or if you want to become an entrepreneur, we have a 6-month program where you can learn how to build your own business and become your own entrepreneur. We have about 50-50. So half of people they don't want to build their own business. They just want to go work for other corporations. And the other half, and we've become a source where people come to get coaches now, which is kind of cool. And then the other half of them go off and build their own businesses and become independent life coaches, making tons of money and enjoying life from home.
It's amazing. I think we're to the point where I would think about certifying people like that in our methods or whatever.
Yeah, of course.
So this is a question that everybody who does this asks me, and I'm going to ask you because you're the pro here. I have no idea what I'm talking about.
Okay.
All right. So did you have to do anything to become a certifying entity besides having the chops and the background? Are there any legal things? Like if I got a membership, a lot of people that listen to this is no. Okay. So it's just like, do it.
Life coaching industry is completely unregulated, which is a terrible thing and a beautiful thing all at once, right? So it's terrible if you're unscrupulous and you're out to, scam people and you have no proper training and you don't really care about serving, which obviously that's not you, that's not me. It's amazing because we aren't regulated by the government in terms of what we can do and what we can create in terms of, we're regulated financially, but not in terms of what we can create in terms of our content and our curriculum and what we offer, which makes it so we can help people in a way that's actually incredibly effective and fast and not held back. So one of the things that we've seen a huge uptick in is therapists and doctors joining us, because then they're not limited by state boundaries, right? So they can coach.
Oh yeah. Anywhere.
US-wide. Now they can't
Online,
practice
whatever.
therapy, right? But they can practice life coaching, and so the revenue opportunity is huge.
That's amazing. I was as I was preparing, I get little prep sheets and stuff, and like I was preparing for my calls today, and when I was looking through your stuff, I saw the certification, I saw that, and it clicked on me. I was like, I've got a guy in our community, and he teaches middle-aged guys who are empty nesters how to play guitar. It's called Relax.
Nice.
It's called Relax and Learn Guitar. He's got a couple hundred members. He's killing it in retirement, and he's just dominant. And I thought to myself, though, dude, if he added a certification program, I bet there's a something that he could certify people to teach his methods locally, and just be like, hey, I'll certify you. You pay a yearly fee, and you go out and you get clients, like one-on-one clients. And because a lot of people don't want an online membership, and they don't want that, but he could create a money-making opportunity. Somebody could go make $50 an hour, like
100%. And let me tell you something about certification. When I became a life coach, I wanted to have a certification. Now, you don't need a certification to be a life coach. It's an unregulated industry. You can just go out and say, I'm a life coach, hire me, right? But for me, it was important for me to have a certification, to have some training. It gave me like a sense of clout. Like being official and being professional. And that is what so many of most of the students that come through our school, they want to learn my method. So they want to do that, but they also want the certification. They want someone to have said to them, yes, you're good enough to go and coach the people. Right?
Especially with earned street cred that you've had over the years. Like it's a real certification, not really fly by night.
Exactly.
Keyworded website or whatever.
Although I will say my certification, when I first became certified as a life coach, I just went to a weekend workshop, but there was something about just being certified, feeling like, okay, now I'm certified. Now I'm legit. So anyone thinking about doing a certification, it's really worth considering. People want to be certified. And what I think is the most important thing is just, if someone's coming into you brand new and then they come through your certification program and they leave, you want to make sure that something's changed.
Oh yeah. Yeah. They're representing what happens when you do the certification, right?
Right. Yeah, exactly. So, awesome. And you can charge a lot more for certification too, than you can for just, a regular training.
Well, especially if it makes money on the back end, like exactly. Listen, everybody listening, the world has fast forwarded 10 years. People like us have been preaching at you for about 10 years.
Yes.
Please, God, have a second stream of income. Please have a side hustle. Please do something online. Please do something. And like now, you better be getting some certifications. You better be starting some membership sites, because the economy, right or wrong, whatever happened and didn't happen in the last year, man, it's a different world. And Zoom went from 10 million people to 300 million people. If that don't tell you how the online world's changing, you better get up to speed, So
isn't it funny? Isn't it funny talking to people about Zoom now? Like,
I know.
I'm like, I've been doing this for years.
I know. Like people are like, you heard this Zoom thing? And I'm like, yeah, it pays my bills.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
That's how I podcast every week, Right.
All
right. So let's back up one step.
Okay.
Something happened besides just one. You're amazing. Your podcast is amazing. All your stuff is amazing, and your product is amazing. That's that's base entry. Got to do
Agreed.
that. Right.
Agreed.
All right. But now there had to be something else behind this, marketing and some strategy and some tactics, because you don't go from I want 1,000 people to hey, there's $30 million. Without some thought going into it.
I'll tell you what happened. And this is a really important thing to consider once you've started making some money. I learned this idea from Todd Brown, who's one of my teachers, aggressive acquisition. And the idea was that whoever can pay the most for a customer wins, right? Which is originally from Dan Kennedy and all the old original marketers would talk about that. I never really understood what that meant. And when I first started my membership, I thought, what if I was willing to break even on my customer in the first month? So that's aggressive acquisition, right? So that's me being willing to pay $297 for a customer for 1 month. And if I was willing to do that, if I was willing to spend that much money to pay for a customer, then all of the months after that would just be profit. So if I wanted to grow faster, am I willing to do aggressive acquisition? Now, most people don't want to spend a bunch of money to get customers, right? Especially if you aren't making any money yet. It's not smart to do. You know, I wouldn't recommend you go into debt for it. But I had already been making some money. So I made the shift to aggressive acquisition and agreed to myself and to my team, hey, let's break even on the first month. And that is when life got very fun very fast.
That's an amazing and like it also, like, you know, one of the hard parts about pricing a membership is knowing what to price it. But like even if you, like, for example, like let's say you start a membership and like you're selling courses and coaching, but you're trying to transition to something where you've got some control over your life, right?
Yeah,
You're not living launch to launch anymore.
Right.
Like if you go out and you just do the math and you're like, hey, okay, I spent $1,000, got 4 members, that was $250. Then the next month you're like, okay, I got 5 this time. So it goes down a little bit. But then you figure out like, wait a minute, $197 should be my monthly price. Now it works. Now I can spend as much as I want. Every customer, $200 back in the pot, right?
Right. Exactly. And what I realized is, yes, I was spending a lot of money up front, but the compounding of the money on the back end was so fast. And so now, like you said, you have to have great stuff. You have to have staying power. Your stuff has to be great or it won't work. And your price has to be high enough that you can run an ad or two.
That's right.
You can't this is much more challenging if you have under $10 membership, right? If you have an under $10 membership, there's other ways to build it. But for me, what made the biggest difference the fastest was, I mean, we went from 5 to 17 million in 1 year. Based on aggressive
you're basically getting free leads.
Exactly.
Right. And then everything else. We had I think the 4th or 5th guest on this podcast was a lady named Robbie Baxter. Have you ever heard of her before?
No.
She wrote the book called The Membership Economy.
Yes, I have heard of this book. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. And so that was the book that put the period on the end of the sentence that I would never make money again unless it was a subscription. And she was on like the original team at like Netflix and stuff, right?
Yes.
Like teaching them how to do this. So she was on here and she said something that blew my mind. Like you talk about aggressive acquisition. I was like, well, how much should we spend to get a member? And she said that Netflix and she's worked I think she worked with Disney and some other places too. They figured out that if they could spend a third of lifetime value, which you don't know for the first year, people don't do this right away.
Right.
But like once you know that, like, okay, my average member stays 8 months, right? Or whatever. She was saying that these big, huge subscription companies are like, I will spend a third of that and I'll just wait for the profit to come through, because once you know your numbers, it's pretty clear you're going to make it. So these companies like Netflix and stuff are just like, screw it, 3 months of, there it is. I'll just spend 3 months of it. But they know that it's like a Model T assembly line. The first 3 months would be terrible if you had 9 months retention and you had 3 months of acquisition. But then once that third month happens, you've been doing this 2 other months. The third month happens. You're back on a monthly schedule.
Magic.
And you're just making money off the back end like crazy. Do you do annual upsells on the back of this or anything like that?
No.
So you just do monthly. That's it.
Now, everybody tells me to do the annual. But I'm dedicated to 2 things: simplicity and fun. If it's not simple, we're not doing it. If it's not fun, we're not doing it. We leave a lot of money on the table for the sake of simplicity and fun. But I do think a membership can be the engine to your back end. So the other perspective that I had was, what if I was willing to break even on my membership as a whole? And then the back end would be certification, would just be profit. And that's when we were willing to spend up to 3 months. Our lifetime value is usually around 6 months, average lifetime customers. Let's spend 3 months. So $297 times 3 to attain a customer.
Right. Break even. And then you got
half of those will convert to certification. Let's see what happens. And we never had to spend that much money. The willingness to spend that much money and the amount of growth that we had that fast really made me understand, if you have cash and you're willing to spend it, you're willing to bet on yourself and your product, that's when the numbers just become mind-blowing.
And when you get to a point too where your audience is like, when you force the audience to be big enough through that acquisition.
Yes, exactly.
Now you win. It's like I heard this I was listening to your podcast that I heard this when I was prepping. You said you asked people if you could win the lottery and get $1 million or make $1 million in a year, what would you do? And you said so many people would say, win the lottery, it's easier. But you're like, but when you figure out how to make $1 million, you can do it again.
You
and
do
like
it every
nobody
year.
got it. You do it every year, and then you grow, and then there's so much momentum you can't fail, right? It's like, like it's just absolutely.
That's what we're always saying around here, because I have a goal. So 3 years ago, I set a goal. I want to make $100 million within 1 year. So we're at 35 million now. We have 7 more years. We'll be making 100 million. And I have to remind everyone, it's not 100 million. It's 100 million a year.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Not total.
That is the difference.
Think bigger.
It's not 100 million total. It's 100 million a year at a 60% margin. Yes, that's what we're going for. Yeah.
Do you have do you open close, or do you pretty much leave the Scholars Program open for anyone that finds the page?
It's open now. We've done both. So in year 1, we open closed. Then we just left it open. We leave it open now all the time, but what happens is if you join, let's say you join in the middle of the month, you're not going to get access to the live calls until the following month.
Oh, I gotcha.
So we send out an email series that creates scarcity and a time crunch, because, hey, we're going to start these calls. If you want to join for December, you got to get in now. So it's a little bit of a hybrid.
That's really smart.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that's actually the real principle is, can you figure out a way to create scarcity more often than once or twice a year, like a lot of people do with courses? And once you figure out your method, it's all good. Like I use the reason I love monthly memberships are our baseline, because that's like, the more monthly members we get, the floor of our house becomes higher than the ceiling of everyone else's house.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So I love the monthly members. That's our main focus. It's one reason why we use free trials to get in, because we're just like, come on, just flood in here. Right.
Yeah.
But like my buddy, he does, well, I'm sorry. So what I do then is I use a quarterly deal or an annual deal or a lifetime deal. We do each of those like 3 or 4 times a year, just to create cash flow and some kind of scarcity to bring more people in at that point.
Yeah.
But my buddy does something like what you do. I was in Franklin, Tennessee at a mastermind, and me and my one guy were left. We walked down to a coffee shop in Franklin, and we were sitting there, and he was like, man, I know I could have a membership. I just know I'd love to have 1,000 people paying me 30, 40, 50 bucks a month, man. It would create some cool things. And we drew up this big complex. You talk about not simple plan. It was like notebooks. I'm like, I'm standing up showing shadow puppets. I mean, it's everything. And then he's like, I can't do this. I'm like, yeah, you're right. So I threw it away, and I got one of those little square coaster napkins, and I drew on it. I said, let's create a membership that fits on this, and let's see what happens. So he created this membership for writers, and all it is writing times. And like, it's a co-work session, and he shows up, and he's got a giant hourglass, and he flips it over, and he just sits there and writes his blog post with them.
Genius.
It's because that was the one thing that people told him they needed. I can't get my numbers in. I can't get my word count in. I need accountability. I just wish I had a place to go write with other writers.
So
and he sold 600 in the first like week or month or something like that, right?
Oh, and what is he charging?
I think it's like $49 a month now, or $39 a month. This went up a little bit, but it's just free money to go hire people and do stuff with, right? And people wanted this accountability. But here's the most genius thing that he did. So I always tell him, I'm going to take credit forever for that napkin, but I'll give you credit for everything else, right? and he said, so he was showing me his new sales page for this thing. It's Joe Nicoletti at Learn Scrivener. It's unchainedwriter.com if anybody wants to go look at this fat hack. So you go there. Somehow he got a developer to put the timer on his sales page to the next call, and they do them 3 days a week.
Oh,
so now he always has less than 48 hours scarcity to the next thing, no matter what. And he's just growing this membership. It's become like the core part of his business now, because it's just free money. They're just showing up.
So genius. Here's what I want to say about that. This is for anyone listening. Like, I have so many people that come to me and they're like, I want to make millions of dollars too. I think I'll sell t-shirts. I think I'll sell this item. And I'm like, you want to sell air. That is what you want to do. And your friend is selling literally air. It's genius.
But that air is literally the oxygen to these people, because
exactly. That's what I'm saying. Air to people that need to breathe. Yes.
Yes. And they need it. And like, do you know how many books have been written from that group now that are out there changing the ripple from that pebble in that pond is like absolutely insane. And like, it's so inspiring. Like we're working on getting that in ours, because our people are all the same too. Like, I don't have time. I'm lonely. Like, well, hey, let's all show up and do a co-work session, and you can write your blog post. You can build your membership area. That could fit in any membership site that anybody ever created. You just have to figure out exactly how to present it.
I
and all of a
love
sudden,
this.
yeah,
It's such an elegant, valuable idea.
and nobody sees each other. There's a chat box, right? It's not like a Zoom call, right? So we're here together, and we're my giant hourglass, and it's all good. It's amazing. Yeah,
Love
it's
it.
amazing. So today, what I've learned is I need to certify coaches. I've got to
Yes.
get coaches for my members, and I also need an accountability session because I'm just not stepping up my game. I got to step up my game around here, you guys.
Come on,
I'm absolutely
get
inspired.
on it.
All right. So, what do you think the biggest that amount of money? And we're talking gross revenue, of course, guys, but like that amount of money is insane, right?
Yeah.
And I found that once you start talking about numbers over 500,000, people get really even 1 million, that get intimidated really bad, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what lessons did you learn when this started blowing up, right? Because I don't know what your background is, but that's got to be enough money to freak you out a little bit when it starts happening.
Yeah.
You know, it's like what do you think the lessons are from that? Just on the other side of it, now that you've went up the mountain and you're kind of like keep going up this other mountain, but like, what are the lessons from making that much money?
Okay, here's the bad news, y'all. It's not better here than there. I have this philosophy: life is 50-50. The reason we came to this planet is not to be on vacation. How do we know? Look around, my friends. Look around. This is not supposed to be a vacation. We get confused. We think everything's supposed to be perfect. Everyone's supposed to be kind. Everyone's supposed to be lovely, and no one's supposed to ruin anything. The exact opposite is happening. So what I teach this concept called 50-50. There has to be contrast, or there is no balance. So many of us think once we pick your number. Okay. It doesn't matter what the number is. It'll change as soon as you get that number, right? So if it's 100 grand, as soon as you get 100 grand, it'll be 1 million. As soon as it's 1 million, it's 10 million. But here's the thing. There is no space where you are going to become more worthy, more happy, better, more aligned. Nothing. Will your life get better in some ways? Absolutely. Will it get worse in some ways? Absolutely. So that can stay even, right? And so I think one of the most important lessons is how you get there is how you will be when you get there. And so trying to kill yourself to get there so then you can relax and be happy is the opposite of what you want to do. You want to build something that you want more of. And so taking care of yourself, making sure that you're balanced, make sure you're sticking to your values as you're building a business and believing in yourself is the most important thing. I've watched way too many people crash and burn and give up because it
wasn't with the dream they thought it was going to be.
Exactly. And they're desperate to get to this place where they can finally like themselves or feel worthy. Money will never, ever do that to you or for you. And building a business will never do that for you. So I'm making more money. I mean, I'm in a ridiculous penthouse. Like, let me show you my view. That's my view.
Hold on. Keep it there. I laughed and pulled the camera back to me. Wait for it. There. I got it now. I've seen it. That's ridiculous. That is as ridiculous as you said it was.
This is my penthouse. I mean, I have more money than I'll ever be able to spend. Literally. I have so much money. Our margins are ridiculous. I work from here and I still have that anxiety that I've always had my whole life. I still wake up with it. I still have, kids that talk back to me, and I still live in a world that isn't perfect. And I think that lesson is not the reason not to do it. It's the reason to do it anyway. This is what I say. If life's 50-50, you might as well make some cash.
Yeah, that's right. Hey, listen, I will take, you're always just trading one set of problems for another.
100%.
That's all you're doing. And I will definitely take my problems now over the problems where I got paid on Friday and it ran out on Thursday.
Yeah.
I will take that every single time,
Right.
Money doesn't make things easier, but it sure doesn't make them harder.
Right. Well, that's true.
Yeah.
I think it makes some things easier, but it does make some things harder. Right. And so I think I think people tie success and money with personal worth, and you got to separate them out. Your personal worth is already 100%.
Yeah.
And when you know now.
That's a good word, Brooke.
Yeah.
That's a good word.
When you know that right now, you're not going to be, because this is what happened. People think they're not worthy enough, so they better make a bunch of money to achieve worthiness. But you can't create a multi-million-dollar business from unworthiness. You can't. There's no way. You'll keep sabotaging yourself. So you have to start with, you are perfect child of God right now, 100% worthy. Now we go. That has to be the starting.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I heard Dave Ramsey say too last week. I was watching a video from him, and he said the biggest people. I don't remember exactly how I said it, so I'm gonna paraphrase and butcher it, and then maybe I'll claim this too. But yeah, it was like he said the biggest thing that people mess up when they're trying to succeed at something, and then they succeed at that goal, like getting out of debt or paying off your house or whatever, is they think that there's a finish line in life. And he's like, no, he's like, I have built a $200 million company. I'm in schools, I'm in churches, I'm everywhere. There's no finish line. Like I've just got other things I got to do. He's like, if I stop, it all goes away. Yep. Right. So like, so it's just, you gotta just keep pushing. And our house that we bought, like, we bought our dream house. We bought it. It's got a private lake. It's got all these things. I never in my life would have imagined ever wanting to not live there permanently. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But then it's crazy. Something happened like a couple weeks ago. Jocelyn's best friend here in our hometown said, hey, my husband is developing a neighborhood. We're handpicking everyone. And gosh, wouldn't it be amazing if you were our neighbors and our kids got to go back and forth to each other's pools because they're in the same grades, right?
What?
And everyone
this is an amazing idea.
I know, right? So they literally, he's got like 40 rentals or something crazy. And he just said, hey, I'm going to build my own neighborhood. And he developed it. Their house is being built. There's a guy over here that's got a little girl, Anna Joe's age. The pastor at the church is down here. And they've got a little pond that they put with fish. And we're like, and then all of a sudden you realize like, yeah, that like the house we live in now was a dream, but gosh, there's other dreams.
Yes.
This is amazing. You know, and I mean, you can do other things. And it was like when I paid off our house, I remember I walked in, I thought, this is it. The moment of the century. They're going to celebrate. Confetti's going to fall down. Fireworks are going to go off in the parking lot. And I wrote the check, or I went and got the cashier's check and handed it to her. And she gave me a receipt and said, next.
Yeah, that's it.
So we just got to stop painting all these pictures. All right. We're going to wrap this up here a little bit, just with a little bit. We're going to get in the time machine just for a second.
Okay.
What was going on before, the life coach school? Like, how did you get into this line of work? And like, what was the origin of that? And how did your family decide to go down this path?
Yeah. So originally I had a very challenging childhood, and I was always searching for solutions on how to feel better. And my first solution was food, which worked very well to make me feel better about my.
I've had some good days with food and some long weeks, or maybe it's vice versa. I don't know.
Right?
But I got
exactly.
you. I'm with you. Yeah.
Exactly. And so in the beginning, it was really about making peace with food and stopping emotional eating. And I was very interested in kind of ending my suffering around that. And I dedicated my life to reading all the books on that topic. When I learned that there was an option to become a life coach and do that as a living, I took that immediately. I took that opportunity immediately, signed up, got certified, and became a weight loss coach. And I was a coach before people knew what coaches were. People were asking me what sport I was coaching, right? And so, and I love what you said when we first started, where you're always thinking like, and this is important for I think all business owners who want to make lots of money. You have to have a servant's heart. You have to know that the reason you're in business is to help people. That is how, if you're not creating value for people, you're not going to make any money. You can't just go into business to make money. It does not work, period. So you have to have an offering that helps people, and you have to be passionate about that, because when the money's not coming, and in the beginning when everything's hard and you don't know how to do a Facebook ad and you can't figure out what a website means, all of that, you have to remember that person that's waiting for you. And I would always picture her sitting in her kitchen, eating out of the refrigerator, standing up at 2:00 in the morning. That was the person I was always envisioning when I couldn't figure out how to get Typeform to work or whatever. And so for me, that's what started this whole thing. And I started working with people passionately about how to make peace with themselves, how to stop hating themselves, how to eat food in a way that was healthy, how to feel their feelings in a way that was going to get them the results they wanted in their life. And so the more I studied and the more I did that work, the more I learned. People started coming to me and saying, hey, I want to do what you do. I want to become a coach. And so that's when I created the school, and we started training other coaches in my methodologies to be working with clients. And now, of course, 14 years later, we've exploded. Everyone knows what a life coach is now, and we've exploded. And the podcast was the other thing that was a really huge turning point. When I first started doing my podcast, no one was listening, right? I know that some of you are probably in the same situation, right? What keeps you pressing, record and going after the work? For me, it was like someday one person might hear this, and it may be that person that I once was. And if you are in it for that kind of work, there is no limit, I don't think, to what you can create.
Oh, That's amazing. Listen, Brooke, I appreciate you so much. I'm just so thankful that for your story and for your tenacity. And man, this is super inspiring. You're inspiring me. I'm
Good.
telling you what,
I'm glad.
This is awesome
I'm glad.
stuff. And I'm just so thankful that our paths crossed and that we're here together talking today, and that you were willing to share with everybody listening to this show all the great wisdom you had today. So tell everybody a little bit more about where they can find you online, and if they wanted to check out what's going on over at the Life School and all that stuff.
So it's the lifecoachschool.com, and it's the Life Coach School podcast. We've been podcasting for like 5 years now. So there's more than you could ever possibly need. You go to lifecoachschool.com. You can find out about self-coaching scholars if you want to learn my methodologies for feeling better. And if you want to become a life coach, we're the best school in the world. No other option. Just don't even bother looking. I promise you it's true. Just go to certification at the Life Coach School and we'll hook you up. Thank you, Shane, for having me on. Honestly, it's like a full circle moment. I rarely say yes to interviews, rarely. But when they said it was you, I was so stoked. You know, it's such a trip when you're a student of someone's, and then that full circle moment, they want to learn something from you, or they want to interview you. You're just like, I've arrived.
I don't know about that. But I tell you, when they sent me that text, I was like, I know her. And I was searching through my email, and I was like, Brooke, there she is. Oh man.
That's impressive.
It's awesome stuff. It's funny how God will put little breadcrumbs in your way to remind you to reconnect.
That's right.
What a great story. This podcast will inspire a bunch of people to take action too.
Love it.
Wow. I'm just saying, wow. I'm just going to sit here and say, wow, over and over again. What an awesome conversation. What an amazing amount of wisdom and value that Brooke just dropped on all of us today. And man, I just so enjoyed that conversation with Brooke. And I know that everybody out there listening to this podcast is going to enjoy it too. And you're going to learn a lot, and you're going to be inspired to go out and do what Brooke did. That's make a decision. Remember, it's not about the money. She made a decision to go out and help people. She made a decision to be passionate about that. She made a decision to choose the membership model so that she could scale the help and support that she was giving to these people, that air, that oxygen that she needed to spread out there for these people that needed to breathe. And I know that you have an idea. You have a business that's out there helping people too. And there's no better way to help more people and create a real movement than the membership model. That's what we do over in the Flipped Lifestyle community. We help people start, build, and grow online memberships so they can not only make a great income for their family, not only they can have a lot of time freedom to spend with their family and doing the things they love, but they can really scale the help and support and what they teach out there so that more people can be impacted by their message. We help people in the Flipped Lifestyle community become real membership masters, just like Brooke and just like all the other people that have been through our program. We would love to help you inside of the Flipped Lifestyle community. We would love to help you learn how to start, build, and grow a website, learn how to add a membership to it, and learn how to create that better future for your family. If you would like some support and some help, you can try our entire program right now for free. All you have to do is go to flippedlifestyle.com. That's FLIPPED, lifestyle.com/FREE, and you can try everything in the community for 30 days absolutely for free. You can come and check out all of our courses, all of our trainings. You can hang out in the community forums and the Facebook group, and you can even do a live call with me. Once a month, I get on and I coach our community, and I answer your pressing questions that you need to move your business and your dream forward. That's flippedlifestyle.com/free. We would love to help you start, build, and grow a membership today. All right, guys, that is all the time that we have for this week. Until next time, get out there, take action, be consistent, be prolific, be relentless, and do whatever it takes to flip your life and become a membership master. We'll see you next time.